before we kick it off, I also want to just take a moment to connect all of our energy. I wanted to wait till everybody popped in here, but I'm going to invite everyone to just take a moment. We're going to take 3 deep breaths together. This is our wellness and transformational travel webinar. So I thought this is a great way to set that intention for this space. So go ahead and in your seat, if you want to just relax, I'll invite you to close your eyes if you'll feel comfortable. Encourage you to roll your shoulders up and back and relax them. We know that so many of us carry tension in that space. And then we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose and hold it, and then exhale through our mouth and hold it. And I'll just guide you through this process for 3 breaths together. So if you breathe in through your nose, and then exhale. And another breath in. And exhale. And then one last breath together. Inhale. And exhale. And then slowly wiggle your toes, your fingers. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. We'll come back into this space together with our energy all connected and ready for this conversation. So to begin, I would love to just once again, I'll share I'm Christine, the host of Soul of Travel podcast. I also happen to be the founder of Lotus Sojourns, which is a women's mindful adventure travel company. And there I guide sojourns that are really focused on wellness and transformation. So this is something for me that is very exciting to be speaking about with you today. I'd also like to introduce our panelists. Tanya Carriere is a professional certified coach, master facilitator, transformational experience designer, and retreat leader. And her company is called Vivim Journeys, and I can't see because my screen is bouncing all around. I know Shauna Robbins is here. She's the founder and CEO of Third Spark. But to begin, I would love to just let each of you ladies introduce yourselves and tell everyone here a little bit about who you are and 1 to 2 sentences about your business. Shauna, you're off mute, so I'll pass it to you first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Really glad that you're here with all of us today. Let's see. I am founder and CEO of Third Spark. Third Spark is a health and wellness company for women peri and post menopause. We focus on sleep, energy levels, lifestyle changes, purpose, mindset, and balancing and regulating hormones, especially in midlife, when it can be challenging. So transformational travel is something that has always been really important to me personally. I found that some of the biggest, most transformational stages of my life have things that really just take the pull the rug out from underneath me. I need to get away to process kind of everything that it means and let it sort of seep in to my cells of what my life looks like, whether it's grief or a loss or a change or whatever it is. And so travel has been just so fundamental for me as a woman to grow into my purpose and my path. And so I was really grateful when Carolyn and Christine, when you all asked me to join to talk about this, because I think that the two things of both wellness and transformation are inextricably bonded, and travel is one of the best ways to really experience both and come out with a really healthy mindset in your life.
Yeah,
oh,
thank you so
and
much.
There's my cat.
I know your cat really wants to be a part of the conversation today.
That's popcorn.
So welcome if anybody's joined. We're just doing an introduction to our panelists that are joining. Tanya, if you wanted to introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. My name is Tanya, and it's good to see some familiar faces. Hi, and new faces. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Ad Vivum Journeys. Ad Vivum is a Latin word, and it is a toast, and it means to life. And that really is the essence of the journeys that I create, which are retreat-based journeys. So we go and discover new landscapes and new community in order to discover a sense of new self. And the aspect of well-being in there for me, or the aspect that I really thrive on, is this notion that we enter into this second phase of life, I think, coming to understand that things are not meant to be the same. They're not meant to be how they were. You wouldn't wear the same outfit you chose for yourself 20 years ago. Why would you wear the same life for yourself 20 years later? And so, where do we go in order to get familiar with, as Shauna said, with our new bodies, our changing inner landscapes, with our new sense of self, with our new identities? Where do we go to fall in love with who we are? And I think travel is that perfect place that where we can really take the time to fall in love with the new me. So that's really at the essence of all the retreats that I create in the company.
Yeah, thank you both so much for sharing that. I see that I think Carolyn just dropped a link for the tour directory. I just wanted to make sure people saw that because I know that you have, and we'll talk about at the end, opportunities available. But as you were both speaking and talking about the changes in our lives that we sometimes are most able to reconnect to when we travel, I was thinking about when I first launched my business and people kept saying, "Who is your ideal client?" And I really struggled because for me, it didn't check the right boxes of, they're this demographic and they're this and they're this and they're this. And I'm like, for me, these are just women who are experiencing transitions in their life and want to reconnect to and understand who they are in this next phase, whether that's, there's so many different transitions in our lives. And also for me, it's this moment that that I really like to convey as like this looking up moment. We have all these times in our lives where we're really buried in like our education or childcare or parent care or all these different things. And all of a sudden we look up and we're kind of trying to see who we are again. And I feel like these experiences that you both create, that I work to create, are a space for us to like look up and understand and even and recognize who we are in that mirror. So I think this is such a powerful and important conversation to be having because it's not just about travel, it's really about self. So the first question that I have that I'd love to talk about is why do you think well-being is such an important focus for women, especially when they travel, and what are the benefits that we can see in this space of wellness and travel and where they overlap for one in this experience?
Would you like to go? You want me to jump in?
Me?
I think the biggest gift is just getting out of your comfort zone, right? Going to a place that maybe you've had interest in, or maybe not, a place you've, been on your mind, or something that makes you feel a little bit like you want to catch your breath a little bit. But when you do that and you get away from your home environment, your town, your family, your friends, all of the things that are rituals and routines, and you mix things up a little bit, there are breaks in the patterning that your mind does. And there's breaks in your life where all of a sudden this new light can come in. And that new light might be an idea. That new light might be, a new way to reframe a situation that's been bothering you and looping around in your life for years and years. Maybe it's a relationship or a trauma or something that you've been through. But there's a break, there's a space for air. And I think that that's a really important thing for women, because we are the nurturers, because we are the caregivers, because we are, running this second shift, a lot of us, where we work all day and then we come home and we take care of family at night. It's exhausting. We are like thoroughly exhausted to the bone. And so to be able to step away from that, even for a short weekend or 2 nights or whatever it is, right? It's just offers you the ability to just recreate and reconnect and just to breathe again, to hear the thoughts in your own head again, to realize what your priorities are again. And I think that that is such an amazing gift. And the overarching data around wellness and health, because of just having some space to reset your life, is incredibly impactful and powerful.
I agree. I also think that as we travel, well-being is a bit about what we create, what new patterns we choose to put in place. And what we know is that once we hit, everybody here who's over 47.2 years of age can rejoice. Our happiness curve, our sense of fulfillment, our sense of well-being increases steadily after that age. But I think it's not something that we want to sink into passively. It's actually something that we want to step into with a sense of discovery, with a sense of ownership, and with a sense of recrafting. So we have all this renewed potential, and that comes when we change our sense of identity. And that's, I think, what we discover the most when we're traveling. When you change that landscape around you, it's so much easier to change the landscape within you. Even something as simple as, well-being in community, changing the community, finding new friends on the road. Have you ever wondered, like, why do we make instant friendships when we're on the road? And they're deep and they're connected and they follow us. I think it's because there we're not labeled with old identities. So we can show up as this, here's the Tanya that I want to show up as. And that's who connects with somebody else who's also showing up as her new shiny self. And that forges something really incredible that actually draws us into the life that we want to create. And I work as a coach, and I love coaching, and I love when we sit down in our coaching conversations, but I can get so much further, so much more quickly if we are on the road somewhere. Everyone can. I mean, and as you said, Shauna, on the road, that could be somebody here posted they went to well-being in Bali. Awesome. But you can also have well-being in your park, close to you with your favorite tree. So it doesn't always have to be this big, expansive destination.
Thank you so much. Before we continue, I just want to remind our listeners we'll have Q&A at the end. So if something is sparked and you want to share or ask a question, just write it down so we can remember to come back to that. But as you were both mentioning, kind of the ability to see yourself in a new light when you travel, that's something that comes up so often on the podcast, especially that idea of releasing all of the labels and like allowing your true self to emerge or to even remember who that is. And I know for me, like I have this image of myself kind of like with my backpack over my shoulder and my feet hit the tarmac wherever I am, and I'm like, oh, there's Christine. Like I forgot who she was. And like somehow like it just, all of those things can evaporate. And then the other thing that you said, Tanya, that I really love is that idea of allowing yourself to be who you want to be in that moment. I think that these spaces where we gather women together are so supportive for that, because not only can you release all these identities you've assumed, you can also kind of step into one that you haven't yet, but you would love to like grow into. And I think it's such a great container for that. And that kind of edges me towards this idea of transformation. And I'd love to talk with you both about that word, one, kind of how you define it, and then also maybe some people's um either resistance or excitement towards something when you put that label on a container. Because I know some people, when I talk to them, they're like, oh, transformation, maybe that feels like more than I want to be a part of right now. And what I usually say is that transformation isn't so much about changing who you are, but also changing, as you both mentioned, just how you see yourself. And so it doesn't have to be this like radical identity shift, but it is like a perception shift. So I'd love to hear from either or both of you that dialogue around transformation and how you support people kind of in that process.
I think for me, the biggest transformation that I see with my clients, because I do health and wellness coaching, is menopause. It's such a huge time in a woman's life to, once the estrogen biologically shuts down and then off, um, the ability of the mind to actually start thinking about different priorities, because you no longer are wired to just be this caring, loving, nurturing person. You actually now have this space to go, oh, wait, who am I? What do I want? What do I want to do? And usually that coincides with empty nesting, or it might coincide with the loss of a parent that you've been caregiving, or maybe even the loss of a relationship, a partnership that you were in for many years that maybe no longer serves you at this point, or a job. This is such a natural time of transformation. And all women on the planet go through this hormone change. And so, and not all women go through massive lifestyle transformation changes, but for those who do have the two coincide in one place, I feel like travel is, like what's been said here already, is such a great place to not only figure out who you used to be, but figure out who you want to be. And so that's why I named my company Third Spark, because I really believe that this age of 50 and beyond is the third spark of your life. It is the time to reignite what you're passionate about and figure out what your purpose is, and what your gifts are, and how to share them in service and on the planet, and through whatever it is that lights you up. And so using retreats and traveling and other women in a community and a connection, like everything that's been said here today, it can just help for women to recognize that transformation is not just specific to them, it's specific to, a large group of a global population that experiences this transformational time. And so I find that travel is just a great way to bond. It's just a great way to get to know yourself and to bond. And transformation sometimes, like you said, can have a connotation of feeling very overwhelming and feeling very lost and feeling alone. And when you join a community like JourneyWoman, when you join a retreat, when you work with a coach, whatever it is that you choose to do to help yourself through this time of transformation is such a gift. And even just being here today is such a gift. And just being seen by yourself and seen by others, I think is just such a really important time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm.
Tanya, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think we can get spooked by the word transformation because it sounds so big. And sometimes that feels so enticing. We just want to break through, shift it all. Yes. And sometimes it's like, wow, I have invested a lot in getting to this at this moment. So what are we talking about here? And I think it's important to know it's that whole spectrum, everything from, just deepening myself into my thoughts, my beliefs, my values, my love, my sense of who I am, my, just deepening my understanding is also transformation. And so I really do think we also forget that we are masters of transformation. All of us. You started transforming. The first action you took, literally, as cells, was to start transforming. You have not stopped. It has been a part of every single second of your life. You've learned new things, you've transformed physically, your love for the people who are closest in your life has also shifted, changed. You know, even if you think about with our parents, we were in this dynamic and then this dynamic and then maybe this dynamic so everything around us is in this constant state of moving and evolution. I think what travel allows is to be conscious of it, to be thoughtful of it, to be reflective on what is transforming, and then to apply some intention. Where would I like to deepen this transformation right now? What quest is really calling to me right now? And can I pursue it as I'm traveling? Is the quest a heart quest, a quest about love? Is it a health quest, a quest about understanding what is this new body? Because this new body ain't the one I was carrying around 10 years ago, you know? Is it a quest of identity? How does the world know me? A quest of purpose? And just deepening into all of those threads because we all have all of them active all of the time.
Yeah, thank you. I know that both of you are so great at being able to kind of create a container for all of this to happen. I would love for you to talk about some of the intentionality that goes into that. I know I've been reflecting on that as I just was putting the touches on my trip to Alaska, and I actually was thinking about like not only what a gift some of that space holding was for the people participating, but actually even for my own self. And I hadn't really thought about it in that way, but I would love to hear from you. Like, what are some of the things that you think about when you're creating that space for this to happen? And then even maybe share some of the things that you hope people will achieve in that space that you've created.
I really like that you ask about intentionality. I think that's super important because I feel like it's not touched on enough. It's maybe more a focus of like destination and this and that and like parts of the trip, but not really the intention that underlines it that we put in as the ones that are creating this experience for people. So I think it's a really wonderful question. Well, my retreat is in Morocco, and one of the fundamentally important parts of this is to support women-run businesses and female entrepreneurs through the trauma of the earthquake that happened there. So there's so much rebuilding that's happening. There's so much shifting in their economy and in their society. Women have opportunities to work there now like they've never had before. And so because of my background as a functional nutritionist, food is such a huge part of what I teach and what I live and what I do when I travel and, you know, what I work with my clients. And so really getting involved in the culinary, cooking, food aspect of all the learning and the training that's going on right now for the Moroccan women, because it's going to be a huge opportunity for them to be a part of the society there. I mean, it was already before, but so much more now. They're needed in restaurants and in the homes and in the community to cook and provide food and share this part of their culture. So that was a big intentionality on my part of building this trip around, you know, being with the Berber family and understanding, you know, the cooking and the issues with the nomadic life that they have. And then in Marrakesh with the women that are learning to cook there and sharing the food and the feast. And so that was really, and also just understanding the power of food, not only to bind us together as women, but also, you know, saffron and the herbs and the different types of fruits and vegetables that are grown there and the way things are prepared, I think is a really beautiful part of the Moroccan culture that I really want people to feel connected to. And the other part of it is just being in nature in Morocco. There's so much there in the High Atlas Mountains and in the deserts. I mean, to see the stars and to feel, you know, that the breezes that come off of the Sahara Desert and to be in, you know, 300-year-old olive groves and, you know, just to take the opportunity to be outside And so for me, it's just this intentionality of reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with food, reconnecting with self. And so that's really, those were the three main parts. And then of course, the family and the culture as well. And how women really are the center of all of these things, and connecting with the Moroccan women in every best way that we possibly could.
I really approach this from, my place of origin, which is as a coach. And so for me, intentionality really comes in the sense of putting in place a new practice, whatever that might be. So, the next retreat I have coming up is called Joie de Vivre, because so many of my clients say, at the end of the game, I just want to be happy. I'm just doing it to live a good life. I just want to have that sense of it feels good. That's why we do all the things we do. And that's great. And I completely agree. And I champion that as an outcome. But that is not something that we should passively wait for. That is actually practice that we need to put in place every day. And so I intentionally decided to hold that idea of how can we create that practice in a place where they practice joie de vivre all the time, where the expression comes from in Provence, so that we can actually learn from the culture where it's embedded and leave with that. So I think when we travel, it's important to have an intention for ourselves. So we're not just stomping on the earth and through cultures and looking at things, but really looking at things as if they are mirrors of what we're trying to see in ourselves. I think that's an important intention. And I do think the other aspect of intentionality is in the creation of the group, of the community. I know I do a lot of pre-work and coaching, and we meet each other before and selecting the participants so that when we arrive, we feel like we are already a mutually supportive sisterhood. And there has been no one that I've met that hasn't been craving more of that, especially now when we've mastered these wonderful screen lives, which are awesome that we can connect this way. But in the end, we still crave that sit around the table and pass each other some food and laugh and just have that sense of camaraderie. So I think the intention of building that in a way that is deep and meaningful, it's super important. And I just want to say, Christine, everyone here should know that all three of us are in this business because we are, in fact, super selfish creatures. I think we get the most out of each one of these engagements. I know I do. It is such a privilege to be able to hold so many stories and discoveries. And of course, we get to make all of them along the way. So I think that is so truthful of you to say, yep, I think that was for me.
I mean, I think so many of us, especially that become coaches or space holders for women, it's about sharing the things that we've already learned, and we want to make sure everybody else knows that. And we're creating experiences that we know our souls are craving. And I think also for me, as you were talking, both of you were talking, is this great sense of love and respect for culture and people and place. And again, maybe it is selfish, but for me, I know how deeply that moves me, and how like human that makes me feel, and what a blessing that connection is. And for me, I want to witness that in other people, because I know that in itself is really transformative. And so I think part of that intentionality is really just love, that we really want other people to have these experiences. And I think that's a really special energy that comes from trips that are designed kind of in this way, with this intention that it's so much about connection. and you were both kind of talking a little bit about, why we travel instead of where we travel. And I think that maybe that is something for everybody that's listening. I talk a lot about understanding your travel values and using those as a roadmap to select the experiences
Yes.
that will be the most nourishing to you. And especially if you look in the context of sustainability, like this is one of the ways that you can get the most out of your travel so that you are feeling the most enriched and you maybe aren't kind of chasing that high. Like you really are intentional about finding the experience that meets what you need. And it doesn't always have to start with like, I've always dreamed of going to Peru. It's like, I've always dreamed of this kind of connection or seeing myself this way or challenging myself this way. And then you find the container for that experience. um, I would love to hear from you, maybe what have some people come to you looking for, and that might be really helpful for people who are participating on this webinar to kind of even understand like how they might move in this direction and find the experience that's right for them.
I would say the women that I talk to fall into two different categories. One is they're looking to take a trip that's meaningful as an act of service, right? So like it's not a volunteer trip, but it's a trip where they can go and have an impact. And so that's a part of it. And I feel like as women too, again, in this second stage of life or this third spark or whatever you want to call it, menopause journey, whatever you want to call it, there does become this need to feel connected in some way to something greater than oneself. And so to really find a place, if this is something that's important to you, to find a trip that really lights up your heart and helps you find a way to express what it is that you're passionate about. And then the other thing is like because we do shared accommodations, there are women that want to travel with each other. So I have a group of women that were friends in college that live on different sides of the United States and never get to see each other, but they want to take a trip once a year so that they can reconnect. Or like a mother-daughter. I talked to a mother-daughter group yesterday, and the daughter's only 19. She's taking a gap year from college, but she really wants to go and spend time with her mother. Her mother, maybe this country, going to Morocco is a little outside her comfort zone, but she's willing to stretch a little bit so that she can spend time with her daughter, knowing that this is a transformative time for them and their relationship. So it's like, I think it just depends on sort of where you are and what you're looking for. And then what, like you said, your travel values. I love that you brought that up because it is really important to align yourself with what feels good to you, which what really makes your heart sing. Because then it will be just an unforgettable experience, whatever it is that you choose.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be clear on what you're looking for as you're traveling, and all options are equally as wonderful at the right time. So are you looking for something that's just light and breezy and free flowing and lots of expansive time where I can read and choose my own adventure and just relax? And that's great, because most of us are living lives that are just so fast and furious that all we need is a break, and that's fantastic. And sometimes we want to be very purpose driven, and sometimes we want to be very introspective. Sometimes it's about learning something new, being brave and, I don't know, doing an art retreat or something that you've perhaps never played with and going, okay, let's discover. And sometimes it's like, oh no, I need something warm and familiar. Make it all about pasta and I'm going to be happy, because I could eat that every meal of the day. I think those questions are really important because not all trips or retreats or expeditions are like. And if you look at the directory on JourneyWoman, there's this whole wide range of things that are available, which is just so delightful. So I do think it's about first doing a little bit of a self audit and then checking it out with the retreat leader or the tour leader. I don't think I would book anything without being able to have a conversation with the person who is actually going to be running whatever it is, so that you really get a sense of, is this a match to me and to what I want? And do I have confidence and feel a connection with the person who's leading it? I think that's really important. And you'll get a sense right away whether, yeah, this is someone that I want to spend, a week and a half with, or I'm sure she's lovely, but that's not my jam. And that's fair enough, but that kind of background work, I think, is really super important. And I think also the aspect of traveling solo. It's so much on the rise right now. What we're seeing is women traveling solo, regardless of if they are in relationship, partners at home or not. The freedom of traveling on your own. Traveling with your posse is awesome. But traveling on your own, there is a special kind of freedom where you just get to sort of break out and discover yourself new. So I really encourage anybody who's, a little bit nervous about it to find the right place and give it a try, because it's, I think, one of the most beautiful gifts we can give ourselves.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. And I think another thing that popped in my mind as you were both speaking, that when I was trying to explain to people what I'm offering, I was like, what is this, the essence of this? And I was like, it's like a slumber party for your soul. Like I think women really miss slumber parties. Like I
Yes.
love when I can book a hotel with a girlfriend and just like hunker down and visit and watch a movie. And I find like when women gather, that starts happening. It's so nourishing. And so I think that that element is really powerful, whether you're traveling alone, then joining a group, or, just that energy is important. But I want to open this up for everyone here today to ask any questions. I know that we would all love to be able to answer any questions you might have about this type of travel, where you would look, questions you might ask, anything that's coming up. I did notice a couple questions in the chat. Let me go back here and see if I can start with one of those. Phyllis mentioned that she's interested in co-living, which, oh my gosh, has been a dream of mine since I was far too young to even understand. I always thought I wanted to do that. But the idea of women on vacation living together in a location for connection, community, and support. Is there something that that exists like this for women over 50? I hope I summarized that for you
Sign
well.
me up if there is.
Yeah.
Please share the
I think there
information.
are.
Sign me up too. I've been traveling by myself for many years, but I love meeting up sometimes with other people. And as I wrote to Phyllis, I'm temporarily in a co-housing little thing here in southern Mexico, and I am 30 years older than anyone else here. So yeah, it would be great to have other older women.
So I have been doing a ton of research in this area. I'm Phyllis, and I think there's a big rise in the need for solo women over 50. They do have it, and there's about 5 companies I know doing it for the 25 to 35 years range. But I don't know how to go about it. But if I can't find it, I will help create it. I think there's,
Cool.
whether it's a house in Provence where people show up, or I think, just as well said, women connect so easily, and there's like, you feel your soul. There's such a like-mindedness. So I'd love it if people, if you find or come across anything. There's 2 women in France that are building this right now. And thank you to Tanya for sending to everybody a name of somebody. I'm going to look it up who does that also in France.
Yeah, there's also, Phyllis, I think it's called Les Marguerites in the south of France. I will find it to you. And the one I sent to everybody is called Yo Baba Lounge. I know they have that kind of philosophy as well, where they're trying to encourage long stays. People come in and just live there for a month or so. It's beautiful. But I agree, it's such a beautiful opportunity when we can do that. So I'd love to hear more too.
Yeah.
And I'm
thank you.
just, I'll leave this to Carolyn to think about if there's a way on the site for women, like I'll be traveling for 8 weeks in the fall and I'm going to Lisbon and then I'm going to Spain and France. I'll be moving around on my own. If there's just a way, like a community connection to say, these are my dates in Lisbon, and I've been there before. And I think it was well said, there's nothing I get more excitement than traveling with someone else and showing them what I've discovered, and likewise. So it would be interesting if there was a community connection area so that for solo women, we can connect up.
Yeah, thank you. I had just passed along the idea of posing this question of where these spaces are in the Facebook group, because there's such a wide network that we might be able to tap into more of those, as well as that question I think is a great one as well, to be able to connect with people as we're traveling. Now I have lost, there's so many comments in the thread. Let me see if I can find, but does anyone else have a question that they wanted to ask? You can either like take yourself off mute and ask, or you can raise your real hand, your digital hand. Let's see. Let's see. Annie had asked, and it's not necessarily directly related to this, but I think such a beautiful question. If we had an organization made up of mature women, what message would we want to place in the world as we decide it's time to be seen and heard? I feel like it's really in alignment with like that seeker spirit, and what so many people want is to be seen and heard, and to like find that self that they can express fully, and that's why they look for these experiences. But I love this idea of what would that message be, and again, I think this is something that could be great to talk about in the community as a whole, what that voice and vision is. But feel free to
I
share.
would say that we're not done.
Mhm.
That would be my message. As women, we are not done, not in the second half. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I just met with someone the other day, and it was near my birthday, and I was starting to feel like all the anxiety of time passing, and she's like, just remove that notion, like it's just beginning, like
Right.
this is the time when you really get to show up and be fully you, and like live the most aligned part of your life, I think, for so many women. So I think I love that message, Shauna.
Freedom, authentic aging, you know, all of those beautiful, wonderful things.
Any
You know
other
what,
questions? Oh, go ahead.
it's just calling to mind, gosh, this is not a question. It doesn't answer anything, but it's just something that's coming to mind. That is just, I'm thinking of right now, one of the most beautiful things that I have experienced, and it's been a part of my own transformation in a travel setting, is learning from women wiser than me who keep showing up. So we talk about, you know, the beginning of the menopause journey, and that's starting somewhere maybe in our 40s, but I'm having the most awesome, wonderful, inspiring conversations with women who are showing up on retreats called My Reimagined Self, and they're showing up at the age of 80.
Mm-hmm.
And I am like, slap it down. That is amazing that you
Right.
are teaching me that 80 is not the last chapter. It, you know, someone is saying, give me a pen. I've got more to reimagine and write and reconfigure. And I have learned so much, understanding that womanhood has this huge, long stretch away from 50. And so I really think that's some of what is going to emerge in our landscape more and more as women start moving around and sharing their wisdom with one another.
Thank you.
You know
so
what I
much.
find so amazing to that too, is that the average life expectancy of a woman just 100 years ago was age 47. And you look at how far we've come as women to now have the average life expectancy to be in the, you know, early to mid 80s, depending on where you live. Like, it's so, I agree with you. It's so inspirational. It's just such a beautiful, you know, evolution of the journey of what it is now to be a woman. I just feel so grateful to be on the planet at this time and experiencing this.
Mhm.
Does anyone else have anything that they want to ask or share? We have about 10 minutes left in our time together.
I'm curious about what well-being journeys everyone else is thinking about or wishing for. We all came because it was this idea of, you know, what is that intersection of well-being and travel, and you know, the three of us have had fun playing with it. But I would love to hear, you know, what was pulling others into here? What is sparking you right now? What quests are you on?
Thank you. It's such a great question. And people, you could either hop on and share or share it in the chat if you don't want to unmute yourself, or if you can't unmute yourself. That's such a great question. Let's see. I can't tell. I thought I just heard someone unmuted, but Phyllis, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I always find it's so fascinating to be on these type of calls with like-minded women where we're all of, you know, you could be different backgrounds or whatever, but you reach a certain age and you've hit part of your life where you've probably experienced the hardships and you know that there's joy. And I think that gives you wisdom that you can't have when you're younger. So I find that this is such a special time of life. And with that wisdom, there's some freedom. And that's what it allows me to travel in a very different way. And I want to be in awe. I want to be in new places. We talked about being out of your comfort zone, but for me, it's more be in awe with this amazing, marvelous life we are getting to journey. And I love to hear where people have gone, where they've had moments of awe and what's possible. I think this is a stage of life that's unique.
Awe is such a, I think, important word in this context as well, because that is another one of those things that makes us feel so alive when we witness something that inspires awe. Jordana also mentioned hot springs and focusing on muscle and spine health. I think that's something that's so great about wellness travel, is that it also can be healing. And I think it's great to be able to allow yourself the space both for, you know, inner reflection and journey, but actual healing. And when we travel, we can tap in. One of my favorite things to do is tap into the traditional healing wisdom of a destination wherever I am. And so that's a great way to both connect and then also add this extra layer of, you know, deepening your understanding of self and a place. So thank you for mentioning that. Would anyone else like to share what drew them into this call, or any of the experiences that were powerful for you? I see that Kristen shared that she quit her corporate job at the end of 2021 and took a year off to travel. Her quest was for connection to self, others, planet, and spirits. That sounds like a soul sister to me. Now back home, pivoting into her next era to be working at the intersection of wellness and travel, and is currently studying to be a health and wellness coach. So that's very exciting.
Oh, well, let's connect, because I would love to chat with you about that. You know, I was going to say, when you were asking about, you know, the health and wellness piece of it, I don't know about anybody else here on this call, but I sleep so much better when I travel, when I'm gone, when I'm not in my own bed. So many people love to sleep in their own bed, but I actually love to be, you know, in a different place, because my dreams are richer, my sleep is deeper, and I know it can go either way, but for me, that's one of my own personal health benefits. of traveling is just really, really reconnecting, not only with my ability to just sort of downshift more, but just also to like rest and repair and restore my sleep when I'm on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I feel
Yeah.
like food, so many places, especially outside of the US, is so much more nourishing,
Yeah.
and like that is such a way of taking care of ourselves, even just to eat food that feels different in different countries. Let's see, Laura mentioned that she can't unmute herself, but wanted to share this is exactly what she needed today and to give her thanks. So thank you so much. I'm glad that you were here, Laura, and that this was a moment to nourish you. I know that's what we're all here for always. So it's always good to hear that. Kim says she sleeps better because she expends energy and she's firing on all cylinders. Let's see. Go ahead. Phyllis, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I had wanted to join Tanya's retreat. I was hoping to be able to do it this year because I love women like Tanya who assemble women like-minded for exploration and everything we've been discussing here. So I'm hopeful, and that's my intention, I will join one of her retreats. I'm also interested if anybody has found other women-led retreats that are beyond the two we're discussing today. I think it's always great to share those resources.
I think in the directory, isn't there a category for transformational travel and wellness travel retreats? I believe that there is.
Yeah, there definitely is. You can
Right, but I'm just wondering, we're on the call today, and so these people were more attracted to the subject. It's always great to get a referral, and I have to just give another referral to Tanya. From everything I've read, it sounds spectacular. Just the day work.
I agree. I would tell everyone I haven't experienced except for virtual retreats with her, but they're beautiful containers. I do have a trip coming up in March of 2025 to Alaska, which is a women's wilderness and yoga retreat that I'm super excited to be launching. I just launched it on International Women's Day last week. And I think I'm running through my soul travel podcast list because there's so many great people that lead this type of experience as well. And my brain is just going blank at the moment. If I think of them, I'll drop it.
there's another resource at the Global Retreat Company, which is the recent rebrand from the Queen of Retreats. And the only reason I would mention them is all of the retreats on their site are reviewed by independent reviewers. So you are getting some very good data about, everything that they show. And there's a great variety, everything from fitness to coaching or grief, or there are so many out there. And Christine, I saw that and I can't wait. It looks lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Into
It's
the
amazing.
Arctic.
I can't find the hand thing. They've changed my controls on Zoom for some reason, just as of today. But I would like to know, do I find the three of you at your names, or obviously Tanya's at Ad Vivum, right? Shauna and Christine, can I find you from searching your names or what?
Sure, I can share the information, or Carolyn, if you have it on hand, you can share it too.
Yep, we're all in the directory, and you
Yep.
can certainly find us
In the
there.
JourneyWoman directory.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, either under my name or Third Spark, or I'm going to Morocco at the last week of October, first few days of November. So you can find it underneath the dates as well. I feel
Love
like,
Morocco. Such a
well,
great
personally,
place.
I have to tell you, I'm just looking forward to getting out of the United States before our election. So I think it's a really good time to be able
I'm
to
glad
kind
I'm
of
not there.
decompress.
Yeah.
It's going to be, quite a year for us here. So I feel like we need to restore ourselves someplace other than in the States.
Definitely.
And if you want, either of you can drop your email in the chat too. I was trying to pull it off, but now I'm doing too many things at once, and we've just got 1 minute here. So if you want to quickly
Sounds
add
good.
those in there. Thank you all so much for sharing your expertise and your passion for this space. It's always nice to connect with other like-hearted creators in the travel space. And I'm so glad to have shared this time with all of you. As we mentioned, you can find us in the JourneyWoman directory. Reach out if you have any questions about this style of travel, about our trips in particular. I know that I believe all of us feel it's so important to find the right trip, and we're happy to have a conversation and connect. Even if ours isn't the right one in this moment, it might be the next time. And so I feel like we're really happy to help facilitate that. And yeah, I think that's it. If there's any last minute, do either of you have any last minute thing you need to say as we're wrapping up?
I think we all just want everyone to travel well, and I hope I meet all of you on any journey, anywhere.
Someplace in
That's
the
what-
world.
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being a part of JourneyWoman too. I just love this community so much. And Carolyn, we're so grateful to you for leading us in this. And I'm just so glad that we're all able to get together every day.